DataPlatformGeeks is an initiative by community initiative by eDomino Solutions. The good news is Data Platform Summit 2018 is announced. It is happening in Bangalore, India from 9th to 11th of August. There are pre-conference trainings on 7th and 8th of August. So if you're seriously interested in some training in Data Platform space, this is a must-attend summit. It's a 3-day learning event around data and analytics space. It covers whole of Microsoft data stack as well as some open source technologies in the data platform space. We'll be having 7 tracks with more than 100 sessions, and we'll be having speakers from all around the world. MVPs and MCMs and all other industry experts will be there at this conference. This is a must attend if you're serious about data platform stack. The core team behind DataPlatformGeeks, Amit Bansal is the founder and president of DataPlatformGeeks. Myself, Manohar Punna, I'm the vice president of DataPlatformGeeks. Avnish Panchal, Prince Rastogi, Sandeep Pani, Yogeshwar Pul, and Surbhi Agarwal are all regional mentors, and they are the core team behind running the DataPlatformGeeks community. And we also have our eDomino team, which helps us in connecting the events and maintaining the website and all the other background help that we need for running the community. DataPlatformGeeks, you would already have been registered for DataPlatformGeeks on dataplatformgeeks.com. This is important because all the announcements, all the information about the summit that is coming up, and all the events that are happening, like the webinars and the Data Platform Day events that happen across India, are sent to these registered attendees, registered members of DataPlatformGeeks.com. There are a lot of resources like free videos, labs, and magazines that are available on the site. Everything is free on this site, so you can always go and look at these resources. All the sessions are actually all the resources of the sessions are actually hosted on this site, so you'll be able to download the resources. And if you have questions, not just related to the current webinar, but any other questions, you can always go and post the question on the Facebook group, the SQL Geeks, where experts from all around the world will be able to help you with answering those questions. We also have the LinkedIn group where you can go ahead and post your questions. So before we go any further, I'm just jumping down to my slide deck. So today's session is on real-time analytics with Power BI. A quick intro about myself. I'm a blogger, speaker, mentor, and I'm a community enthusiast. I'm a data platform MVP. I work for Lobster Pod Solutions as a data platform consultant based in Melbourne, Australia. I blog at SQLServerGeeks.com, which is currently DataPlatformGeeks.com. I'm a speaker at different events, and the most important thing on this page, it's my Twitter handle. If you ever want to ask any questions, I'm available there. All right, so let's jump to today's topic. For any company to achieve real-time analytics, it's important to understand what's the need and what is the requirement to get that real-time insights into the data that the company has. So we'll be concentrating on understanding the need for the real-time analytics, how the Power BI dashboards work, so different what is Power BI desktop used for and what is Power BI service used for. We'll be seeing the data sets which will help us build live tiles in Power BI dashboard. We'll be using the Power BI REST API and also use real-time analytics by streaming through Azure Event Hub and Stream Analytics. We'll be also doing a quick live demo where all of you will be able to participate, open a website and enter some data, which will be shown live on the Power BI dashboard. All right, so before we step into that, I would like to do a quick poll, just trying to understand where you stand with currently implementing real-time analytics, whether it's your company or organization or whether you are an individual consultant. Just want to see like if you have already implemented it or planning it in future, or there's an immediate need, or you have never planned, you're not yet to think about it. All right, just a couple of more seconds while we get results from all votes from all the attendees. Okay, I've got more than 50% responses, so I'll be ending the poll now. It's good to see that most of you are planning to implement this in future, and few of them have an immediate requirement, but there are few of them who are yet to plan. So this will be a very good session for you to understand how to solve those requirements by using Power BI dashboard. It's also good that you're not implemented any solutions as of yet, because Power BI dashboard is really good with stream analytics and real-time analytics. So let's get into the slideshow. All right. Okay, so what is the need for real-time analytics? It is very important to understand what real-time means for your business. It's not just telling that whenever the data comes in, show it as it is, or do some basic analysis and show the data as it is. It is important to understand what your business need is. Say for a banking system, it is really important to understand whenever something, some anomaly is happening or was some fraud is detected, they need to see it immediately, because that affects their business to a great extent. But when you consider some other industry where they are tracking their orders, where they have tracking system on their trucks and want to see where their trucks are going, it's not very critical to understand immediately when the truck goes out of the way, but it's important to understand like when it's really how many trucks are on time. So that kind of information is important for those kind of businesses. So it's really important to understand what is the real time, what real time means for your business. So it's important to define that. And once you define that, what are the different ways to actually detect those, find that data, and then analyze it and show it in a presentable way to the business. So even though you see the data, we are data professionals, we understand the data, but when it comes to business, they are not always data people. So giving some Excel data to them doesn't make sense sometimes. So it's always important to show them the graphs and other visual techniques to make some sense out of the data, which will help them make right decisions. So as a data professional, it's our responsibility to bring the data out and make it visually appealing for the business. With introduction of Power BI, actually it has made it really, really easy to build those kind of things. Even with self-service BI, the business users can actually, who has some idea about data, can go and build their own visuals, which will thin the line between a business and a data professional. But still, all the modeling and everything that goes behind the scenes on the data, they still need a data professional to do all of that. So basically, real-time analytics will help you with things like fault detection, the time-sensitive analysis, tracking any data in real time. Most of the current trend of using real-time analytics is in the IoT space, where the IoT devices send data directly to the IoT hub. which is collected in aggregates because most of the information is really like there's huge data that is coming in. Some devices send 3 or 4 readings per second, which doesn't make sense if you go and show each and every data point. So there should be some aggregations and those kind of things that you do even before you put the data into a visual form. So coming to Power BI dashboards. So Power BI is offered as a Power BI desktop and Power BI service. Power BI desktop is basically for development. It helps you build reports from different data sets and also do a lot of modeling. Like you can build relationships. If you are aware of analysis services, this is similar to it, but it's completely tabular modeling. It's not the multidimensional traditional modeling. So all the modeling inside Power BI it doesn't matter what data set it is, you can still pull them as tables and then build relationships, create measures, hierarchies, calculated columns, whatever you were able to do with analysis services, almost all of them you'll be able to do it with Power BI desktop. So once the modeling is done, it's basically using that model to build the reports previously which you used to do by using reporting services. Reporting services is a great tool. There is some flexibility that comes with Power BI and reporting services. So for the traditional reporting, which is like tables and different static views, reporting services is still good. Power BI reports are interactive, so this will help you build some reports, and it's a bit intelligent when compared to reporting services where you have to do everything yourself. When it comes to Power BI service, it's the online service. So when you go to powerbi.com, that's the actual service. So once you build the reports in your Power BI desktop after finishing all the modeling on your dataset, you can publish the reports to Power BI service. And that's where all the magic happens in terms of collaboration, sharing, and creating dashboards. So once the report is published, you will be able to choose particular tiles on your reports and pin them onto dashboards. So if you have 10 different reports and 10 different reports are telling different story, from each report you can select a particular visual which gives the overview of that story and put it on a dashboard. So you'll have a single dashboard which gives overview of your business from 10 different reports, and whoever wants to go to a particular report can click on that particular tile and that takes them to the report where they can interact with the report and see the other details that they want to get into. The other types of visuals that you pin to other type of tiles that you pin to dashboard are Q&A and live data sets. Q&A is where you ask questions on your data and you get the answers in terms of visuals. Like it can give the result if you ask it, what is my sales in last quarter, and that gives you a result set either in form of table or in form of a graph depending on what your data is, and you can pin that tile. So instead of creating your own visual, you can just ask a question in Power BI service and that will be able to create a visual for you. Live datasets is the thing that we are going to look at today, where you will be creating a dataset which is populated by using REST API, which is provided by Power BI. So the REST API works similar to any other API, which is HTTP API. So you will be able to post the data and get the data. You'll be able to create the data sets as well, but it's all HTTP requests. So it's if you have already previously worked with HTTP post and get requests, this should be fairly easy. For me, it was a learning, but it's not that tough. It's not that hard. I really apologize for that because I was supposed to put that and explain all of this. I was looking at my other screen where I already have all those tiles. All right, so whatever I was explaining about Power BI dashboards, I'll just give you another couple of seconds to look at this. So this is what I was explaining previously about Power BI desktop and Power BI service. So the part that we are going to look at today is the live datasets. So as I've said, live data sets are the ones that we need to use to get live data into Power BI, and that is what Power BI tiles recognize. The live tiles in Power BI dashboard recognize as the data which is continuously coming in, and it needs to refresh continuously. How does that work? There are three types of data sets that we can use for live tiles. The first one is push dataset, where you have an application which will push the data by using HTTP post request. There is a Azure SQL DB which is provisioned by Power BI service behind the scenes. You will not be able to access this database directly. But when you push the data into Azure SQL DB, a direct query is pushed to Power BI service. So every time you push data into this push dataset, the data is pushed to Power BI service through using direct query. The best thing about this is you will still be able to retain history from this data because it's Azure SQL DB, and you'll be able to do some advanced reporting. So like static reports rather than not just live tiles, but also you can do some static reports. So this is useful where you need to have both kinds of reports. You need to see some live data, but also be able to analyze that data from the past. So push dataset is useful for that. The next one is streaming dataset, where you will not be able to save the data. This is just a cache where data is saved temporarily when you're pushing the data in. And this is pulled by the Power BI service to pull the data in. So because this is pulled by Power BI service, this is a bit quicker. It is real time. Like this is pretty fast in what data is posted into cache and reading and displaying in the Power BI service. Because it's just limited, it's just a cache data and live data set, you'll not be able to have all the visuals. There are very limited visuals which are only suitable for live data. The other data set is provisioned by a third-party vendor, PubNub, uh, which is a streaming dataset provider. uh, this PubNub, the best thing is it integrates well into Power BI service. So Power BI has an SDK which directly integrates to Power BI, PubNub. So, and again, this is just real time, similar to the streaming dataset. If some companies already have a paid subscription with PubNub and they're already using live dataset uh, with some other services, uh, they will be able to easily switch to Power BI service with this dataset. So how does Power BI REST API work? So in your application, you will be able to use Power BI REST API to make HTTP requests that will be able to create the dataset also. In this demo, we'll not see the create dataset because I want to make it really uh, user-friendly to start with. So we'll show it by using Power BI service, how we'll go and create a push dataset. And I'll use Stream Analytics to create a streaming dataset. But that datasets can be programmatically created by using Power BI REST API. That's really helpful when you're doing everything by using code. All right. So how do you build solutions which will help you do real-time analytics? So there are three approaches. The first one is where you are a complete cloud shop and you want to implement everything on the cloud. You don't want to have any resources on premises. It's really cost effective in terms of how you are using the data, how you are using the services. Like if you see the cost, I have list down as in rupees per hour. When you convert this to US dollars, it's really cheaper. Like 1 rupee is approximately 6 or 7 cents, 8 cents maybe. So the amount that you pay per hour to use these services is really affordable when compared to hosting the same thing on premises. And this can be turned off and turned on at any time. So if you want real-time analytics for doing only during the business hours, that will save a lot of costs on these kind of services. While we are at this, I If you have any questions, please use Q&A and the chat window. I'll try to answer them at the end, just to make sure that, or just before starting the demos. But you will have most of the answers when we are doing the demo. So please feel free to post your questions there. All right, so this end-to-end cloud solution approach where we have a SQL DB, Azure SQL DB hosted on Azure, and then you have a cloud service which will read from your SQL DB, or you may have, you have your application which is actually writing into your SQL DB, like a banking application or something. So instead of changing anything at your application layer and till the SQL DB layer, what you do is write some cloud application cloud service which will pull the data from your SQL DB, push it to Event Hub, which then Stream Analytics will pull from. So Stream Analytics will pull the data from Event Hub and pushes the data to Power BI. Stream Analytics behind the scenes uses Power BI REST API. You don't have to do any coding. It's simple SQL scripts, similar to SQL scripts that you write in Stream Analytics that will be able to push the data from Event Hub to Power BI. The second approach is a partial cloud approach where maybe you have your data and application on a different service provider or on-premise. So you write, or you have an application where you may have a database, but you don't want to push it to the database because there may be delays. So what you can do is make the changes to your application to write the data directly into Event Hub. So we'll see one such application here today where the application pushes the data to Event Hub, and there is another part where I'll be writing the data into SQL DB, and a PowerShell script actually pulls the data from SQL DB and writes into a Power BI directly. So that will be the third approach. So I'll be demonstrating the first and the third approach. So the third approach is where you don't use any stream analytics or anything. This is basically the push dataset, the first one that I was talking about, where you use the HTTP, the Power BI REST API to directly push the data from the application to the Power BI service directly. So let's get into the demo. But before that, I have a question. Why Azure, from anonymous attendee, why Azure Analysis Service not considered as live dataset? See, so if you have direct query mode, it's still live dataset, but you don't see the data refreshing lively on your reports. It's basically when you hit the refresh, that's when you see that when the query runs and pulls the data in. You will see how the live dataset works in a while, where I'll start and show you the demo where I don't have to do anything. It just refreshes continuously on a live tile. But with Azure Analysis, it's like another static dataset. But if you have scheduled refreshes in the direct query mode, when you refresh it, you will see the latest data. But in the import mode, whenever you refresh, you will get the data. You may have scheduled refreshes by using Power BI Gateway, but that's another topic completely together, and we'll be deviating a lot. But right now, you will understand it in a bit how the live dataset works and how the live tiles work in Power BI dashboard. Hope I've answered that question. So let's get into the demo. So let's first do a live stream using Power BI REST API. I'll quickly switch to my management studio and show you the basic structure that I'll be using here. So I have SQL DB hosted on Azure, where I just takes a bit time to open that up. Okay, let me explain the stored procedures here. So I have a table which is just a stream test, uh, which will save the event time and state name, and uh, so basically I'm putting a random value for a state. This could be anything, uh, and the stream insert procedure basically inserts some random values into the stream insert table. And whenever this data is inserted, I want to look at this data live on the Power BI dashboard. The stream read proc reads the data from stream test. I've just a status bit, read status, where whenever that data is read, I don't want to read it again. So I'll have a stream read proc, which will read the data which is not already read. So the logic of what data is sent to Power BI service through push dataset needs to be handled inside your application. So this is all your responsibility to make sure that you're not sending repeated data, you're not sending all the data again and again. So with push data bit set, it's just receives the data and shows it as it is. The other thing is, so this is basically showing the data as is, like the state and the value and the event time when it is recorded. The other data set is a streaming where I use an aggregate, like instead of sending individual values, what I'll do is for each state, what is the aggregated value of the value that I'm passing, right? So this helps me show an slightly intelligent than the basic data, but this could be more complex as it gets. Like you can show last 1 hour performance and refresh every time. You can do more complicated calculations in here. You can show mean, median, and those kind of things and display it in Power BI. But all this logic needs to be handled in the application with push dataset. Okay, so with Power BI, it just displays the data when it comes according to the graphic, according to the visual that we choose. So these are the 3 procedures that I have. I'll just have a stream insert, which continuously inserts data into the table every 1 second. And let's go to Power BI. I'll get to the portal a bit back. So I have a workspace specifically dedicated for this demo. I don't have anything yet. I don't have a dashboard or report or anything, any data set. So when you first go into RealTime, your dashboard, you'll see this screen, or you'll see some other screen like, let's get that again, like this. So when you see this, it's hard to go to that page. So let's just do that skip for now, and it will take you to this page. So here you can create and say streaming dataset, and you'll see those 3 options that I mentioned in the slide deck. The API, which is basically your push dataset, your stream analytics, which you will not be, when you click this, it says please head to Azure Stream Analytics. So I'll show this in a bit in the second demo. PubNub is the PubNub service. So if you have a PubNub subscription already, you just need to key in the details and that will create a data set for you. So let's first start with the push data set. So this is basically using the REST API. Let's call it push 1 or something, push demo. So as my data set has it, it's event time, which is of date time data type. I have a state, which is text. And then I have a value, which is a number. You see there are very limited types of data in here. So it shows a sample data set here, which is JSON format, right? And I can do historical analysis. So to do historical analysis, I need to switch this on, which will help me save the data which is coming in so that I can build some static reports as well. Right now, let's just skip that, create a push demo. And what it does, it gives you some sample code that you can use. So raw JSON format, you can use this, and that is your push URL. I told you, right? There is a URL that is provided, the HTTP request URL. So this is the HTTP request URL, and you need to include, like, this is the endpoint, and it will give you a sample PowerShell script. So I'll be using PowerShell now, and payload is basically the body where you provide the JSON text, and then you invoke the REST API, the HTTP request with post, and sending the JSON data as a body in your HTTP request. So what I would need is the endpoint. So I'll just open the PowerShell script. So I have this endpoint for my push dataset. Copy paste that, and I'll explain the script in a bit. So I've done with this. I'll create one more dataset. So you'll see that dataset created here. I said I have another procedure which will actually aggregate the data and send the data as aggregated dataset. So let's create a dataset for that. Push demo ag, let's call it that. And this will show the aggregated value, which is a number. And then I have state, which is text. So that's my data set. And I've got an endpoint for that. So let's copy that and paste it in my PowerShell script. So that's for my aggregated data set. All right. So if you observe my code, it's very simple. It runs for 100 iterations. What it does is it connects to my Azure Stream database. I have the password there, but that I'll change it later after this session because this is recorded. Hopefully I've started the recording. Yes. And I'll change that password so you'll not be able to connect later on. So that's my stream read proc, which is getting the data and posts it to the endpoint URL with the payload, which is nothing but the result set from this query. And I have got other one, which is aggregated read proc, and this will be using the endpoint ag and sending the data there. And if you go back to the query again and see, I'm doing this select and output that data in the JSON format. This is very important because I need to send it in JSON format. Or I can handle it in the application by just sending this data and converting that in the application to the JSON format, but it makes it so much easier if you're above SQL 2016 that you can generate the output as a JSON data. Right, so let's go there. And once that is just handling the exceptions there. So I am doing this for 100 iterations. Let's go back to my Power BI here. So that's created now. So I've got two data sets now. So let's go ahead and create a new dashboard. Real-time Power BI dashboard. And how do you add a live tile? You actually click on add tile, and you choose custom streaming dataset, and you will see all your live datasets here. So first is push demo. Let's show it as a line chart. The axis would be my event time, and the values will be the value column. All right, and the display window is, let's keep it last 1 minute for now. Just call it push demo, right? Apply. I want to create a phone view. The next one will be for aggregated data. Let's create a bar chart or column, no, bar chart. The axis will be my state and the value will be the aggregated. So this already yeah, and let's call it push no egg lifetime. Okay, it says the data is not yet there, so let's go here and start inserting the data by running this sample. And when I start this code, this starts getting the data. So you see the JSON data that's returned. So every iteration, I'm just displaying the JSON data. And when that is being displayed, you start seeing the data here. So I'm not hitting refresh or anything. I'll just make sure I've got this right. Still inserting, still pushing the data. So this is reading the JSON. Oh, that's weird. Okay, that's my bad. I should have actually checked that before. Okay, so let's start that again. So this should probably start inserting the data now. And in my PowerShell, I should start seeing the data sets now. So that's good. Yep. So this is where you see, let's edit this and change this to state and just remove that. Okay. So you see the aggregated data and you see the live data that is coming through. So these are just random values. You may not make much sense out of the data that is coming in, but this is what is like looks like in the live when the live data is pushed through the push to the data set. All right. So my partial will finish after a certain number of iterations. So it's 36. So let's leave it there. So while this is running, let's go to, so that brings to the end of my first demo. The second demo would be using Azure Event Hub and Stream Analytics. If you have any questions during this, please feel free to post it and I'll try to answer it whenever I get some time. So let's get to the full end-to-end implementation of a cloud service. I've got an Azure SQL DB, like the Azure Stream database. What I would need is an event hub. So for this demo purpose, I've built the event hub, which is pretty quick to build. So in the Azure Event Hub, what you have is entities where you create the actual hubs. And what you would need is to use this event hub is when you go to the connection strings in your Azure Event Hub, in the event hub, in the connection string, you will have a root manage shared access key where you will get the connection string, right? You will be using this connection string. So this is basically an endpoint where you push your data to. It doesn't matter what format your data is because it's just like an endpoint listening to whatever you are trying to send. it's our responsibility to make sure that you send the correct data set with the correct formatting of JSON, so that that can be used later on in my Stream Analytics query that will push that exact data set into my Power BI data set. Okay, so I have an application. For this demo, I'll need your help. I have an application which is a simple web app, and there is a connection string which I was just showing earlier, and the event hub name which will be receiving those events is the event hub that I've just shown you here. So under entities, the event hubs, my event hub is Azure Stream EH. So I've used that here. So that is my event hub name. And all I do is send a JSON. So basically this is the message, send message, which takes a JSON string and passes it to the event hub. Okay, all this API is provided and all the documentation is available. So I have the references in the slide deck, which will help you write this simple code. And my actual website does a very simple thing. It creates, it actually generates the data. Like when you select a state name and enter a value, it basically connects to that Azure Stream DB, my Azure SQL database, where I have a table which lists the states. I didn't listed the states. I listed the states in Australia for this demo purpose because there are just 6-7 states. So that will be easier to select from the dropdown, and you will be able to enter a random value between 1 and 100. When you enter that value, it just takes those values and passes it, and actually does two things. It inserts into SQL Server, which is like my first step. The application is writing to SQL Server. The other thing is it will directly send that message to the event hub. So this is the second demo where, second approach where the application directly writes to the event hub. So in this, I'll be showing that. So all it does is takes the JSON, builds the JSON from the application, and then sends that data to my event hub. And how does the site look like? It's a simple page where you select a drop down, like select the state and enter a value between 1 and 100, and then click enter. Okay, so the site is azurestream.azurewebsites.net. Don't enter any data now. Doesn't hurt if you enter, but I'll tell you when you need to start entering the data. So this is my Azure Event Hub. Let's go here. So I'm passing my data to the Event Hub, but how will I send that data to my Power BI service? For that, I will actually need to create a Stream Analytics job. So let's go ahead and create it. I'm doing it live so that you will be able to see how quickly you can actually build something which will show a live data. So Stream Analytics job, create it. Let's go Azure Stream Analytics SA. With my subscription, now use my RealTime PBI resource group, and then create. All right, so that started deploying my real-time analytics job. Sorry, Stream Analytics job. Should be quick. Yes. So I'll go to the Stream Analytics job now. So you'll see there is inputs, query, and outputs in this Stream Analytics job. It can take input from any data set. Like there are different options available. You will write the query to use to do some querying on the input data and then push it to output. So in our case, the Event Hub is the input, the query is the query that we write, and the output will be the Power BI service. So let's select the input here. So it's empty, so I can add, and Event Hub is the alias. The data stream is, it's a data stream, sorry. The source is Event Hub from your subscription, and it actually populated the only stream Event Hub that I have, right? Event Hub from your subscriptions, and that is the only Event Hub I had. And the serialization format is JSON, right? So all that is populated. So let's create the Event Hub's input for my Stream Analytics job. And let's go ahead and create an output. So in Power BI, when I went to my try to create a streaming dataset with Azure Stream Analytics, it said, please head to Azure Stream Analytics help page to set up your streaming dataset. That should be set up using Stream Analytics job, right? So in here, the output, let's call it PBI, and the sink, that is where the data will go, is my Power BI, and I authorize it. So that I'll be able to just log into my Power BI account. Right. So this asks to provide a dataset name. This is a stream dataset. If the dataset or table already exists your Microsoft Power BI in your Microsoft Power BI subscription, it will be overwritten. So that means whatever data we are going to push through Azure Stream Analytics, that will be the structure of my dataset in Power BI. So I'll not be able to create, like in case of push dataset, we were able to create the columns. Here I'll not be able to do it. It's created automatically when I send the data from the Event Hub to my Power BI service. So let's call the table name stream DS table. That's fine. So create it. Spelled it wrong. That's fine. So my output will be created. Now the query part. It gives you the simple query like select star into your output alias from your input alias. Your output alias here is PBI, which you have created, and your input alias is Event Hub. I will not change anything. I'll just select everything as it is. But I have to test it. So to test it, I need some sample data in the Event Hub. What I'll do is I'll go and enter some sample data here, right? I don't have to do much, maybe a couple of times. Hopefully that goes through. Okay, value inserted successfully. Yeah, that shows me my JSON data that was posted. I just had those pop-ups when I was testing something. Which where it is. Yep. So I've got two of those. So let's get some sample data from the input. Today 6:50 is the current time. Let's say 48 and 5 minutes sample. So from 6:48 in next 5 minutes, see for any sample data that is come through to the Event Hub. And I've sent a couple of values from Azure Stream from the website. It would sample it and find some JSON data. Yep, so it has got some data here, and I'll be able to test that data now. So when I do the test, it just does that sampling of that data, and see, this was the input that came from the event hub. So the event time, the value, and the state, these were the columns that were sent. But it also adds some additional columns, which is like the event processing date time and event queued date time. So this will help you see in the event hub like when it is queued and when it is actually processed, right? So there is some few seconds difference, but this will uh, so we'll only use these columns, event time, the value, and the state in our Power BI. So what happened to our Power BI? So let's go into Power BI and go to our data sets. Refresh that. So this was just testing it. Now let's start. Let's see the magic. Okay. No, I want to do it. I save it. So as I've said before, I need your help with this. Go to the site, and the site is azurestream.azurewebsites.net. Go to this site and start entering random values between 1 to 100 and select different states. Don't just leave it at ACT because I'll see all the numbers for ACT. Select different states randomly and start posting the numbers like between 1 to 100 and enter the details. Do it continuously and we'll see a lot more data as you put in the data in, as you put the data in. So I have to start it. So my streaming job has started. So this will, whatever data that you're entering in the site now is going to my event hub. And this job basically runs the query and reads the data from the event hub and pushes it to my Power BI service. Hopefully that starts quick enough. $652. I'll put some data in. Generally, the last states are the ones which doesn't get much love. So I'll put some data in for that. It's still not started. Hopefully that starts at some point and we'll be able to see some data in the Power BI dashboard. Okay, that's finally started. So yep, start posting in your entries in the site. The site again is azurestream.azurewebsites.net. I'll push the data in as well with you. This will get some data into Power BI service. And we should shortly be able to see a data set created here. Not yet. Mm-mm. It's so it's taking more time, but Generally, I should have seen the data set by now. Come on, Power BI. Let's do this. Not seeing any input events. It's running. There was an output last at 6:56. Okay, it should have just gone now. Fresh. Not yet. Do I see it? Not yet. Should have got the data by now. Sorry, it's taking more time than usual. Generally, I should have seen the dataset by now. Oh, wait. Ah, okay, here it goes. I didn't select the right workspace in my Azure. I'm really sorry about that, but I can show it here. So if you see, the stream dataset is created here, and it's actually getting the data here. I'm stupid. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a dashboard here. So this is my just a different workspace, but I can demonstrate it here. Right, real-time CBI, add tile, live dataset, stream DS. So that's the one which so that's my event time, and that's the value that I'm passing in last 1 minute. Call it real time VBI. Yep. Okay. I'll just take it aside so that you can see what's going on. Looks like I'm the only one who's entering the data in here. I'm pretty sure you would have tried it before and stopped entering it by now. But yeah, you can see like the data streaming in live whenever I'm entering something. This is really useful when you're actually doing some analysis on the real-time data that's coming in. You can see what's coming in. Like you may have some real-time tracking on your devices, and you can also set up some alerts based on what you're getting. Someone has entered 100%. They really like that state. That's pretty good. So yeah, so that brings to the end of the demo, and I've lost some time there figuring out where I was putting the data set, but do shoot me some questions. If not, I'll just need to quickly cover something before we end the session. So in summary, you need to understand what is the real-time requirement, like what is the analytics that you need to run in real time for your business. And based on that, you need to make the right decision. Uh, so as I've shown, like there are different approaches. and different options for the dataset, like the push dataset, where you can actually have some historical analysis as well, or you can do a streaming analytics database with a dataset, which you can use leverage stream analytics to achieve it. You can always post your questions to ManoSQL Geek. Um, at ManoSQL Geek is my Twitter account. So if you have any questions, please do post there. You can go ahead and try it. I'm going to share these steps and details in the SQL Server Geeks website. So you'll be able to, in the Data Platform Geeks website, you'll be able to go there, go to the webinars, past webinars, under resources, you'll be able to find the resources. And further to that, I have some questions. I'll be answering it quickly just after I finish a couple of slides here. Apart from this topic, if you have any other questions, go ahead and try this. And also, if you have any questions when you're trying this, please do feel free to post it on the Facebook group. If I'm not available, there are a lot of experts on that group who will be able to answer your question. A quick word from our sponsor, SQLMaestros, a company of eDomino Solutions, which does trainings, advanced trainings in the SQL Server and the Microsoft Data Platform space. There are hands-on-labs, which is really extensive list of labs. You'll be able to go and practically try and do the labs, which is really, really good learning experience. And there are also some on-site trainings. So please visit SQLMaestros.com. Please take some time, and this will be able to help you in achieving your career goals. Thank you again, and I'll take the questions right now. What is the difference between near real time and real time? That's a good question. So near real time is where you don't see things as it happen. Maybe you had to run some aggregations, and there is always some delay with technologies that you use. So even though Power BI is good with showing you the real-time data, but there is that seconds of difference. So when your company says, I need to see real-time data, you need to understand like what is real time according to them. Is it like when something happens, I need to be notified within 1 minute, within 10 minutes, depending on the latency that they are expecting. You need to come up with a solution which will fit in that SLAs. So that's where you define what is real time for your business, right? So it's highly impossible to look at things as it happened in a split second, because the current technologies may not be able to help us with that. You can cut down the latency as much as possible, but you'll not be able to run as many analytics as you can to show that data. So that it takes some time to run some analytics, and that is the delay that is always expected. Hope I have answered your question. If you have any other questions, please feel free to post it here. And please feel free to post your questions on the Facebook group or contact me directly on at Manu SQL Geek. Also follow the Twitter handle SQL Server Geeks at SQL Server Geeks, which posts regular updates about the conferences and the events that are happening. Thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you for taking your time, and hopefully you have liked the session. Please leave your feedback on the Facebook group. We'll be sharing a pic on the Facebook group, so please leave your feedback there. And thank you again for taking your time. Have a good day.